The Patriots are moving on, and so is the greatest coach of all time. Bill Belichick won't be New England's coach in 2024.
Wow. There it is. So, yeah, that's definitely
the run is over. Widely expected.
Monumental day.
That comes from NFL
hours.
media.
Wow. That's crazy.
NFL media. So it's just a matter of time before the announcement is made. We were waiting for this one. This is the one we expected. I was starting to get a little nervous because I
could tell you were yesterday.
I said some stuff on Sunday. I wrote some checks on Sunday. I didn't say anybody was going to kick the shit out of anyone, but I did write some checks on Sunday based on things that I knew, things that I believed. No trade, for example. I was adamant there's no trade. I was adamant. I'm not just making that up. I'm just pulling it out of the air or, my butt. Adamant, no trade. It just wasn't going to happen. Not going to work. And as the week's going on, I'm thinking, is there going to be a trade? What is happening here? So they've worked it out, and we'll get more details in the coming days. I think the Patriots would have preferred something amicable and mutual and celebratory. I got the impression from Monday when Bill Belichick talked to reporters, he wasn't going to make it easy. I'm working. You got something to tell me? Come tell me. Otherwise, I'll be working on making this football team better for next year. So that's the news. At least it happened while we're on the air. We don't have to rush back and do some extra bonus PFT live. Thank you. Thank you for having it hit. Now, it screws up the rest of the show. Sorry, Pete Carroll. Just as we were getting to your situation, we got to talk about the fact that even though we knew it was coming, this is still a big deal. And it makes a historic week even more historic, Chris.
Yeah, crazy 24 hours. I mean, I wasn't panicked. There was no way that was happening. Trade, staying there in New England. Bill Belichick's going to try to go to somewhere else. He's going to be the head coach of another football team here within the next month. Who that is, I don't know. A lot of people, Atlanta Falcons, yes, look at them, right? That's definitely one of the teams that people I know and trust in this situation seem to point towards Atlanta. And the other one is something that you've thrown out there, and you kind of threw it out last week, and I think just because you got good pasta and meatballs. But, the rumor on the street throughout is the Dallas Cowboys, too, that the Dallas Cowboys could be in play for Bill Belichick. And then, you couple that with, hey, a team that's ready, and then an owner that I think made a really bad comment to end the season, and a head coach who's 12. He wants to win the Super Bowl. They're 12-5 3 years in a row, and he gives the confidence and kind of cuts out one of the legs of the coach going into the playoff game, and basically tells the whole team, well, he might not be here after this week. Well, no, thanks. Man, he really feels like the general this week leading them into battle. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I think that's in play. I don't know why Jerry Jones said that, but I do think that's on the radar from the people that I know in the league.
Yeah. And I listened to Jerry Jones on 105.3 The Fan earlier in the week. He tried to blame the media for mischaracterizing his comments. He was asked point blank about Mike McCarthy's future, and basically, is he safe? And he said, we'll see how each playoff game goes. And yesterday, I wrote something based upon an item that someone shared with me from 2019 when the Patriots and the Cowboys were getting ready to play each other. Jerry Jones shared a story about how he ran into Bill Belichick at a ski lodge in the mid-'90s. Jones said that Belichick told the Cowboys owner not to forget about him if he had an opening in the future. Jones said, and this was in 2019, he still thinks about that from time to time. Belichick, 2019, at a press conference, going on and on about how much he respects Stephen and Jerry Jones and the work they've done there. And then this year, when they got ready to play, earlier in the season, week 4, week 5 time frame, on and on about Jerry and Stephen. I have a ton of respect for Jerry and Stephen and the way they run the organization down there. They've had decades of success. They were really the team of the 90s with Jimmy Johnson, and they've been good. They've been competitive every year. Obviously, more than competitive. They've had a lot of great players down there. Tony Romo had a great run. Great years with Tony, Bill Parcells, yada, yada, yada. It's all positive. It's all great. I think they manage their personnel really well. Stephen Kanzer runs that personnel department with a very consistent organization. They show up every week, every year. I have a ton of respect for them. Definitely watch what they do and how they do it and try to learn from it. That's Bill Belichick. Just a couple of months ago, So to anyone who says, knee-jerk, there's no way Jerry Jones and Bill Belichick can coexist, that was my first thought too. Oh, baloney. Pish-posh. Mishmash. No way. Not happening. Once you start looking at what's out there and thinking about it, it's not crazy. It's not crazy. And this is his opportunity. The planets have lined up now with Bill Belichick available. If the Cowboys don't make it to the NFC Championship game, and you could make the argument that even if they do and lose badly to the 49ers, it could be, see you later, Mike McCarthy, come on down, Bill Belichick. Forget about rebuilding. We got a team that's ready for you to take to the Super Bowl. You really love Lawrence Taylor? We kind of got the closest thing we've seen since Lawrence Taylor and Michael Parsons. You want a good offense? We got a pretty good offense. You want to bring Josh McDaniels in to get more out of Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and the rest of the talent we have here?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Right.
So, yeah, who cares about Bill Belichick's flaws when it comes to personnel if he goes to, you know the old saying from Bill Parcells, they want me to cook the meal, they better let me shop for the groceries.
Right.
Well, if you're sending the guy into a well-stocked kitchen with every ingredient you could imagine and the finest meats and cheeses and bread and wine available, you're going to cook a pretty damn good meal.
No question. Dallas, all the things Belichick said about, the Jones family, a lot of it, very true. No doubt about that. And, there's no questioning the Jones ability to evaluate people and players and know how they're going to fit on a football field. There's no doubt about that. There was a time like maybe 8-10 years ago where every now and then I'd be like, oh, I don't know about that. And, then I'd maybe be on a field or get to see the guy or whatever, watch him on TV, watch film and all that and go, whoa, they were totally right. They have proven they know how to build a football team and what it should look like. No doubt about that. And then I think when you take on top of, like, I'm with you, when you first talk about it, I go, well, I can't imagine those two personalities working together. But I think when you look at Jerry, desperate to get to the promised land, right? He's like, wait, I've made this team. We got all these good players. We got studs everywhere. I'd love to have a coach that gets us over the hump. Okay, well, it's another big personality, but I think they're both at a spot in their career where they can kind of maybe check their egos at the door to a degree for the betterment of where they kind of want to go and where they want their careers to finish here. So it kind of makes sense from that standpoint. And the big thing is, like, hey, look, you look at the list of available spots right now, right, that are out there. And I just look at them and go, none of them fit Bill Belichick. None of them. Bill Belichick's not going to go to a rebuild. He's not going to Carolina, right? I don't see that happen. I'll be shocked. I'll kiss my own butt if that happens. All right. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know if I'm capable of that, but either way, yeah, I don't see that happening. He's going to go to a team that's close. He's going to go to a team that he feels is set up to where he can go there in year one and he could be the extra juice that gets them over the hump to into the playoffs or a deep playoff run. And that's where I say Atlanta, because Atlanta's got everything except the quarterback, where he'll figure that out, right? And then the rest of this list right here, I would go, nobody on here is worthy of what I think Bill Belichick would be looking for a football team. Maybe the Chargers. They do have some things there on their organization that you go, ooh, okay, maybe. But then I think after that, that's when you jump into the Cowboys conversation. And, of course, I think that would make a ton of sense if they were to let go of Mike McCarthy, which I feel weird even talking about. But this is a very valid thing in the NFL rumor world and people I know connected to the situation. So you got to bring it up. But, yeah, it feels weird talking about a guy who's 12-5 in the number 2 seed. And we're talking about he might be let go.
Where'd you hear it first? Yeah. Where'd you hear it first? Where'd you hear it first? Where'd you hear it first?
I already said you brought it first. You brought it up.
All right,
I already said it. I mean, what are you like? You a narcissist
Listen,
too today? Did you listen to what I said?
What do you mean today? Yeah. What do you mean today?
I don't know.
I never listened
you asked me how my life was. You crapped all over my story and just moved on, and then you go there. You're like, you're a jerk.
I'm sorry. Listen,
you're a jerk.
I'm sorry I didn't indulge your story.
Yeah.
We had very important, historic groundbreak. Who's the freaking narcissist now? We have a seismic shift in the NFL, and you want to keep talking about your dinner with Mike Tannenbaum. Are you?
Easy, A-Rod. I said that you had the first pasta and meatballs. Easy, A-Rod. I got it. I got you.
I know.
All right.
I know. I just want to make sure. See, it's so rare that I'm right that I want to savor it Not that, and it's still got a long way to go. And see, here's the thing. If it doesn't happen, people will say you were wrong all along.
Sure.
Folks, you got to understand. The gears don't always click. Is that how it works? It doesn't always land the way that we think it could.
Sure.
We're just saying, watch where it's going.
Yeah, they're working
This is
that
one
way.
direction it could go.
Right.
If it
Right.
doesn't, that doesn't mean it was never going to happen.
Right.
It just means it didn't work out.
Exactly.
Just like, remember the Sean Payton, Tom Brady stuff.
Right.
When
We're
we
idiots.
Were the only voices.
You two idiots are
We're the only
idiots.
voices.
Right.
We pieced it together. We reported it together. And it was crickets. Ben Volen of the Boston Globe was the only one who was smelling the same air that we were.
Right.
And then, boom, in August, we're in Canton for the Hall of Fame game. And Stephen Ross gets whacked for tampering with Sean Payton and Tom Brady, and it all comes out then. So we don't know what's going to happen.
No, we don't.
With the Cowboys. But boy, does this put pressure on Mike McCarthy. Boy, does it put pressure on him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's been asked this week about what Jerry Jones says. It's awkward in a press conference to talk to a guy who had a 12-5 season, get ready to go to the playoffs. Who wants to be the jerk in the room that says, hey, you think you may get fired and get replaced by Bill Belichick if you don't win? How do you even articulate a question that doesn't get him to fly off the handle and storm out of the room? Be curious to see if somebody asks him about whether or not he thinks Jerry Jones has a wandering eye as he tries to get what you call the promised land, but we know what Jerry Jones calls it.
The glory land.
Glory land, yes. All right, so I still am going to be very interested to see how this gets presented to the world when it's official. Will it be a situation where the Patriots say something that Bill Belichick actually agrees with? Or will it be a situation like the Seahawks or the 49ers with Jim Harbaugh, where it gets characterized one way by the team, and we got to figure out when we're going to do a deeper dive with Pete Carroll, but Pete Carroll basically said with the Seahawks logos behind him, that's not how it went.
Yeah. I
got pushed out.
Yeah.
They want to call it amicable. No, it's not mutual.
I love that he said
it was
that.
eventually mutual because they told me to leave anyway.
Right.
I mean, unless I refuse to go, unless I try to stage a coup and stay in my office, it's a mutual parting in that they told me to leave and I said, okay, I agree that you want me to leave and you have every right to eject me from the premises. So I want to know how Belichick handles this, and will there be a press conference where Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick smile for the cameras and raise their hands together and they have all 6 of the trophies there, and or will it just be Bill Belichick's gone and waiting for the next opportunity?
Yes. There's no way. I don't think that'll happen, right? I think they'll wait to do that when they induct Bill back into the Ring of Honor next year, the year after, whatever. That's when they'll have their little photo op. But I don't think Bill's going to want to answer questions or do any of that as of right now about the situation, right? I can imagine maybe there's a little bitterness towards the Crafts, which, again, it's just business. I don't think it's of course, we know they've done great things together, but it's ending a little weird, right? And then we know Bill's not exactly a media darling and going to want to sit up there and answer his thought process and get all sappy about his career with the New England Patriots. I don't see that happening. I'd be shocked. I think you'll get a statement from them that's very bland. You'll get a statement from Belichick that is very bland. And then we're going to continue to hear, rumors about Belichick as we go later into January here about where he's going to land on his feet and be the next head coach.
And so you've got Bill Belichick, who will take a step back and wait and see how things play out. You've got Mike Vrabel, who will take a step back, wait and see how things play out. You've got Pete Carroll, who's looming. You got a lot of different ways this can go. And obviously we've linked Mike Vrabel to the Patriots, and now both sides are available. I still think they need to tread lightly. I thought about this more yesterday after we talked about it. They just need to be careful that Amy Adams Strunk, the owner of the Titans, doesn't wake up one day and think she got grifted.
Got played.
That she
right.
got conned.
Yeah.
That she got played by Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, and she's going to make a tampering allegation against the Patriots and force people to say what they knew, when they knew it, who they talked to, when they talked to them, how they talked to them, turn over your phones, turn over your email accounts, and we're going to do a deep dive into whether or not there was any type of impermissible communication with Mike Vrabel. You just got to be careful how you do it. If you rub it in her face, you run the risk, as any normal human being would, that they're going to say, hey, wait a minute. You know what? We think something fishy went on here, and we're just not going to take it.
Right.
We're going to do something about it.
Yeah.
So they need to be careful. And also from Vrabel's standpoint, I went back and listened carefully to what Adam Schefter said about Mike Tomlin on Sunday and what Jay Glazer said about Mike Tomlin. They've raised enough of a cloud that when the season ends, let's see what Mike Tomlin does. Maybe one of these other teams now. There's 8 jobs open. One of these other teams calls the Steelers and makes them an offer they can't refuse. Tomlin just quits. Tomlin walks out the door, and then the Steelers wait for somebody to call and make him an offer that they have no choice but to accept. He's already out. What, you're going to get nothing for him, or you're going to get the best offer you get from one of these other teams, whether it's the Commanders, the Chargers, or somebody else. So that's now part of this. And that's another reason for Vrabel to sit tight. We talked about that yesterday. The perfect spot for him might not be New England. It might be Pittsburgh. So we got 8 jobs open. There could be more to come.
Yeah.
Andy Reid could retire.
Right.
I posted just before the show, Todd Bowles could be out in Tampa Bay if they lose on Monday night, even though he's won back-to-back division titles. That's a real thing in Tampa right now.
Right.
The possibility of Bowles being out. Ira Kaufman, our good friend who's covered the Buccaneers forever, has been talking about that on his podcast with JoeBucksFan.com. And we know how the Bucs are. They love to chase big names. There's big names out there now. And they kind of got backed into a corner with Todd Bowles anyway. The way Bruce Arians handled his resignation, it was too late to really do a search the right way, the normal way. A lot of big names out there.
Yeah.
Opportunities.
Yeah.
For the Bucs to go out and lasso a big name. Even a Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll. Wouldn't Pete Carroll make a ton of sense in Tampa Bay?
Hey, listen, I mean, the guys like that make a lot of sense anywhere. I mean, we know they're legends, certainly, you know. It is weird. Again, with Todd Bowles, I would defend him a little bit just to hit on that for a second because you brought it up. I mean, it's 2 playoff appearances in a row. I know it's not great, but, I mean, gosh, he did it with a guy that was 44 years old last year, okay, at quarterback, and wasn't at his best. And, you know, this year, revamped team. I mean, what Mike, what do they got? Over $80 million in dead money, and they still got to the playoffs? I mean, with a quarterback that nobody wanted and thought wasn't any good anymore? Man, that's brutal. But I know, I hear the rumors out there too, certainly. But I think you're right. I mean, you're spot on the fact that this isn't over yet. We don't know. I mean, it kind of seems like one of those crazy years. And yeah, you're right. I mean, whether Dallas opens up, a team like Tampa Bay, is there going to be somebody else that we don't feel, you know, is on our radar right now? I don't think so. I mean, you mentioned Pittsburgh and Kansas City. If that happens and Andy Reid and the retirement rumors are true, yeah, those are definitely going to be major players and will shake up, you know, how this all works out because of, you know, like you're saying, you know, teams that, whoa, if the Cowboys, the Bucks, the Chiefs, the Steelers, I mean, there's a reason they're in the playoffs. They're going to be very appealing to the coaches who are like, wait, I'd like to hit the ground running and have a team underneath me right now. I don't want to go through the whole rebuilding process, which is most likely going to be the coaches that are, you know, Vrabel, Belichick, been there, done that, and they've already been like, we've done enough rebuilding in our life. We'd like to hit, you know, have a team here that's kind of ready to go. They're going to be, you know, what do I want to say? The beauty of the eye of the beholder there, as far as
the
those
bell
teams.
of the ball.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was looking
ball.
for. Nice one. There it was.
Yeah. Bees. You were right. See, here's the problem. 7 years, I kind of know.
You know where I'm going, right? I know you do.
I know, and I'm at the point where not only do I know what you want to say,
right,
I also know what you're going to say instead. That's the scary part.
You know how I'm going to butcher
I knew it was going beauty in the eye of the beholder because that's one of your greatest hits, or it's becoming one of them. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.